According to The Athletic, Russell Westbrook's struggles on the court reportedly played a major role in the Lakers' decision to fire Frank Vogel. The report also indicates LA may consider keeping Russ and giving him a shot to mesh under a new coach. Shannon, what do you think about this possibility? Is this a good idea or a bad idea?
It's a horrible idea. No coach is getting the way. Russ can only play one way. He needs the ball in his hands, and he needs to be able to operate under the system where he's been successful, which is Russ take the lion's share of the, he's a very ball-dominant player. And that's the only way, Skip, is that, and Russ, that's the way Russ has to play. But I don't blame Frank Vogel. Frank Vogel tried. But you're not taking the ball out of LeBron James' hand to put the ball in Russell Westbrook's hand. That's not going to happen. And when LeBron was away, that was his opportunity to show what he could do. And what did he do? So I don't get what I get it. $47 million, Skip. It's going to be very hard to move him without putting those first round picks in 27 and 29 involved, however far it projects out. It's going to be hard to move him. And so you might be stuck, but that's a horrible idea to bring him back. If I'm LeBron, I'm like, yeah, I'm not signing that extension.
So, if I understand this correctly, the premise here is that
they blaming Frank Vogel for
the Lakers brass, the whole front office has decided or deluded themselves into believing that it's all Frank Vogel's fault.
Yes.
They're going to demonize him now that he's gone.
Yes.
He was the reason that Russ was no longer Russ.
Right.
And yet, hold on. I got the feeling all year long that actually Frank Vogel was Russ's last line of defense, that the one guy who was standing up for him, fighting for him to play him in the fourth quarter was the head coach.
Thank you.
The suggestions were coming from above, from Rambis, from Phil Jackson. You got to bench him in the fourth quarter. And it was written many times that Vogel
and Brian Windhorst.
Yeah, that he fought. And that he was apologizing to Russ, saying, I'm getting pressure from above. I can't help it.
Right.
I'm stuck. And he fought for him, and he did bench him a couple of times, but then he went right back to him and stuck with him through mostly, it wasn't thick and thin, it was just thin.
Right.
Right?
And that's the thing, though, Skip. Everybody saw those reports that the front office was saying, do whatever it needs to do to make this thing work. And if it means benching Russ, bench Russ. Now it comes to find out it was his fault that Russ wouldn't change the way he played. Russ needs the ball in his hand. Everybody knows that. You ask any NBA player, well, Shannon, Russ can't beat Russ because Russ doesn't have the ball.
Yep.
Well, you have to change. If you're playing with two other great players, obviously the way you played before, what did that get him, Skip? He getting all those triple-doubles. How many times did he get past the first round with all those triple-doubles? If he moves another team, he's been on the OKC, Houston, the Wizards, the Lakers. 4 years, a top 75 players, 4 consecutive years has been on a different team. And don't nobody think it is. So whose fault was it in Washington? Whose fault was it in Houston? Whose fault was it in OKC? One common denominator. Frank Vogel wasn't in all those 4 stops.
Was not.
One person was. But now Frank Vogel come in, and it's easy, Skip. The guy's gone. Frank Vogel was terrible. Frank did win you a title. But LeBron says, man, look here, Ty Lue can get it done. You didn't want Ty Lue. You won't say anything about that. But LeBron wanted Russ. You won't mention that LeBron wanted Ty Lue. LeBron wanted Monty Williams. That never leaks out. The front office never leaks that out. But he wanted Russ. So he gonna have to find a way to play with Russ.
So they're suggesting that the new coach that Phil Jackson and Kurt Rambis choose.
Correct.
Beyond LeBron's input, that the new coach will fix Russ. Well, the truth is, Russ is exactly the same player he was in the early days in Oklahoma City. He's extremely
just not as athletic.
Well, okay, you got me. But extremely high turnovers and a shockingly poor shooter from 3 and the free throw line.
Skip, now he's terrible in the paint.
Terrible in the paint. Can't convert. Can't even dunk anymore. Can't hold on to the basketball. Worst hands of any point guard I have ever seen at any level, including college.
Yes.
Well, he got exposed because he was finally home. He got to be the point guard for his Los Angeles Lakers he grew up living and dying for. And guess what? He, quote unquote, died this year because he got exposed on the biggest stage in professional basketball.
Skip, actually, he's played the exact same. The only difference is that because it's the Lakers, they're on television, they're getting critiqued because they expected to win a championship or contend for the championship. So now we got to look at everything. We get to scrutinize everything. It's kind of like when the audit comes in. When the IRS start going over that thing with the old fine tooth comb, they're like, okay, yeah. Now, all of a sudden, you get the scrutiny. Russ is playing the exact same way.
Yep.
He played in Washington. The exact same way he played in Houston. The exact same way he played in OKC. He's just not as athletic. And now, Skip, he can't finish in the rim. At the rim.
No.
So now, he's always been a terrible three-point shooter, and I don't know what happened to his free throws, because at one point in time, early in his career, he was like 80%, Skip.
He was.
And then it just nosedived.
Now it's in the 60s.
Yes.
Okay. He's unfixable, and I'm pretty sure he's untradeable. I just can't imagine who would take this on.
Well, like you
say,
said,
expiring contract, but the price you're going to pay for the expiring contract is to have him for a year.
And Skip, you talk about Luka don't play no defense.
No, that's true.
Russ?
No, none. Can't win. Can't overcome him.
No.
Sorry.
Nope. They got to do something, Lakers. Come on now.
All right, gentlemen, still to come today. Did Tom Brady just prove he's the most popular player in the NFL?
He did it again.
Stick around. That's coming up next on Undisputed.
No mercy, no mercy, no mercy.
Themselves as 7-point road underdogs. That's according to Fox Bet Sportsbook. So, Shannon, what do you think here? Does the punishment fit the crime for Brooks?
I understand why they did it. This was a very dangerous play. This was not just a brush. This was not just a swipe. Everybody saw what happened. Hell, even his own teammate said that was too hard of a foul. That's what his teammate, the guy that's in the locker room, my brother, said that went over the line. That's what he said. Am I correct, Skip? Chuck Clark, that's what he said.
My turn?
No, that's not your turn.
You asked me a question. Do I get to go now?
You can answer.
Okay.
You can answer that question.
Can I put some perspective around it?
Put some perspective on it.
No, go ahead. Because I'm about to shred you. I'm just chomping over here. I need you to get all of your stuff out of the way.
The league does not want these kinds of plays. Gary Payton II was in a very vulnerable position. He's a left-handed player. He's going to lay the ball up with his left hand. He gets clubbed upside the head, and his instincts is to brace himself. It's kind of like when somebody put their hand in front of your face, why'd you blink? Because that's my instincts. The instincts tell you to blink. So if you're about to fall, everybody's going to brace themselves. I don't care what you say. Well, you got to learn how to fall. You learn how to fall when you lay the ball up yourself and nobody hits you. But this guy took him out of the air, having caught balls for a living. I know how difficult. There's something called a defenseless receiver. Why, and how do you become defenseless, Skip? When you're airborne and you can't protect yourself. It's called physics. Normally, if you're up in the air, somebody pushes you, you're going to fall. You don't know where you're going to fall. And that's what happened. And the NBA says we don't want these kinds of plays. We want good, hard basketball plays. This went over the NBA felt that this went over the edge of a basketball play. So therefore, they took an extra effort. We saw this with the Caruso and the Grayson Allen play. Very similar play. It's good. Everybody said that's a good hard fight. No, it's not. That was an unnecessary play. And the NBA said, yeah, we think it's unnecessary also, so we're going to tag a game on top of the flagrant 2, the automatic the ejection that happened during the game. We're going to add an extra game to it. So this was not a brush. This was not a swipe. As everybody can see in the video, he hit him extremely hard, and it knocked him off balance while he was in the air. So with that being said, they said, you know what? We're going to tack a game on to it.
And you loved it.
What you mean I loved it? Skip, you remember I came out here the next day and said, I don't want him to get suspended for a game? Do you remember I said that?
Silly me, I actually thought you played football once.
I did.
Who knew?
I did play football. When they would knock your block off, you know it.
Did Gary Payton II get hit the way DBs hit defenseless receivers with body shots, helmet shots, full speed shots? No. Stop it! This makes me sick. It makes me want to puke. Does the punishment fit the crime? The crime here is that Dylan Brooks inconceivably just got suspended effectively for 2 full games of a huge NBA